Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm here with another video review, broadcasting out of my gaming dojo in my basement in Moorhead, Minnesota. It is very early in the morning on a Saturday. Technically it is December now, but I got this game earlier this week. I played it a couple times solo, just goofing around, learning how to play the game. And then I had some friends over today, and I actually finally sat down and played a couple sessions of it flat out. And this is a game that if you watched my recent video blog entry, that I mentioned that I hadn't really been excited about any games to come out this year. I mean, it wasn't anything really like, oh my gosh, this game's coming out, this is going to be awesome kind of thing. But this was the one game that I have been excited about when I heard about it, and the little snippets of information that I was able to get, kind of got me excited about it. I wasn't able to ever play test it. I heard people that play tested it and played the beta version or whatever, and they talked glowingly of the game to me. I had a couple of people poo-poo it to me, but I just figured they were just haters. But anyway, you probably already know what the game I'm going to be reviewing. It is, of course, Eldritch Horror. Brand new release from Fantasy Flight Games. It just came out. I picked this up in my local game store. They actually had a Black Friday deal. I know the owner. He's really cool, and so he gave me the Black Friday deal on Wednesday. So I got this at a hefty discount at Paradox Comics in Fargo, North Dakota. So if you live around there, talk to Rich. He's an awesome guy, and I strongly suggest best gaming store I've ever been to in my entire life. But anyway, frequent viewers of the Undead Viking channel on YouTube or on the Google Plus channel now, Undead Viking Videos, or Plus Undead Viking Videos. You follow me there. Probably the best way to find my new videos. But anyway, enough advertising. Know that Arkham Horror is my #1 game of all time. And this video is going to be bittersweet in a way because, well, we'll get to it. But Arkham Horror is what got me into the hobby of designer board games. I love the idea of You Against the World, the cooperative game. I never played a cooperative game before. I love the idea of the Cthulhu mythos and everything like that, and I enjoyed this a great deal. And there also, of course, was fairly recently Elder Sign, a smaller, more card-based version of like an Arkham Horror type adventure board game, if you will. But what Eldritch Horror does is it takes, excuse me, whereas there is, I'm sorry, and there's also the Mansion game. I can't even think of the name right now. Mystery Mansion? Not Mystery Mansion. Mansions of Madness. Sorry. Which I don't have that handy to show you, but there have been several games now of the Cthulhu mythos the Fantasy Flight Games has put out. And I've liked them all. I've enjoyed them. I've had a lot of fun playing them. And but this one was one that I liked the idea of it. The rules that I read, kind of hinted at the idea that it would be a much more streamlined version of the rules while still keeping that tense feeling of doom going on and what have you. So this is the game I've been waiting for all year long. It just finally comes in at the end of the year. I am going to do another one of my big long reviews. I haven't done a big hour-long review. I don't know if this will last an hour, but it could get to that point. I'm gonna show you how to play the game. I'm gonna walk you through all the steps. I'm gonna show you actual turns and show you exactly what happens. We're gonna experience a little bit of a gameplay together because I'm not gonna set up the game in any way, shape, or form. We're just gonna roll with it, and then we're gonna come back. And I'm going to be sitting here, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of Eldritch Horror. I'm going to compare it to the other games in this line, like the Elder Sign, stuff like that. Compare it to a game that a lot of people compare these games to, A Touch of Evil from Flying Frog Games. And I'm going to compare them all, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of this most newest release, and hopefully somewhere along the way you'll kind of sense that I'm kind of excited about this. I haven't done a review like this in a long time, so I'm really excited to do this one and get it uploaded, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I think. But anyway, so Eldritch Horror from Fantasy Flight Games. It is for 1 to 8 people. It is a cooperative game. Excuse me. I'm still not 100% over this cold. So I apologize for that. And it lasts about, they say, 2 to 4 hours, but we'll get more into that as far as the nuts and bolts and everything like that after I show you exactly how to play. So let's do it. Alright, here we are. This is Eldritch Horror. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you kind of the setup for the game, how you get the game ready to go. I'm also going to kind of go through a turn or so of the game so you can kind of get a feel for how the flow of the game works. And then I'm going to also take the time as I'm going through and explaining the game to you, some of the things that I really like about the game and some of the things that maybe are different from Arkham Horror and other games in this line of games, if you will. It isn't a stupidly huge board like the other, like Arkham Horror I know. I think it might actually be very close to the same size, but I think it's a little smaller. I didn't actually compare the sizes. I probably should have, but regardless, there's no expansion map. One of the things about Arkham Horror, they're able to expand up. If you know the game, you can kind of just keep adding boards to the top of the board. I don't know how they'd really expand this. Unless they like highlighted a certain area or something, and that's fine. I kind of actually like that, because that means the inevitable expansions, because there will be inevitable expansions for this game, is going to focus more on adding more ancient ones, adding more investigators, adding more cards to the game, things like that. And so I kind of like look forward to that instead of just having a game take up more real estate, if you will. This is the Doom track up here. You're probably familiar with that if you played any of the other Cthulhu type games. As you move this token down, as bad things happen, and if the Doom track ever reaches 0, that means the game is over. The Omen track is something new to this game. This is a track that goes around clockwise in this circle. This is important because there are mythos cards that drive the game, just like in the other games like Arkham Horror. And as this Omen circle goes around, certain things will happen on certain these symbols. There's this comet here, there's this like an eclipse there, then there's these like constellation, like kind of stars are right type of thing here. And I apologize if you can't quite see that. I realize it's kind of up here in the corner. But if as gates appear on the board, gates will have I'll show you a gate here. Like here's a gate. And like you can see, this one is in Buenos Aires, and then you can see on the bottom there's that little like constellation, the stars are right focus. So if this gate is located in Buenos Aires and it is active and it hasn't been closed yet, when the Omen track gets to the location like that has the same icon as that gate, you lower. You move the Doom track down, and for every gate that has that. So if there were 3 gates that had that icon on it, you'd lower the Doom track by 3. So that's actually, it's one of those things that's kind of like you can kind of see as the Omen track moves around. You can actually kind of like say, we need to get those gates closed in the next round or so, otherwise we're screwed, kind of thing. So it's a nice little timing mechanic, whatever. Obviously, these are the different spaces on the board. You can see that they've highlighted certain cities, like London, Rome, whatever. You'll notice that there are different colors for those. There are encounter decks when you're in those locations. Like here's a purple encounter deck, and purple would be for these purple cities, if you will. And then green for the Americas over there, and orange for the ones in the middle. And the backs on the other sides of these, they actually just like list for the encounters. You'll notice that they list off the 3 different cities, and so that's how you designate. You will also notice, and like I apologize if you're not watching this in HD, why not? Because then you can kind of zoom it out and you can actually see what I'm pointing at. Maybe you can see that there's other locations that they don't have a big city on them, but they have either this green wilderness location, they have this blue sea location, and they also have this, also a city. You can see this is a city, so that's a city, or you can see like here, it's a city. what that designates is that there is a general deck of encounters. And so when you have your encounter phase in the game, you look, and like say you're in the wilderness, you'd have a wilderness encounter, see city. Now this does mean that if you are in, say, Shanghai, or you are in Istanbul, or wherever, you can choose not to draw the colored coordinated for that encounter. You can actually just choose a city. And the reason why you might do that is because below each one of these cities, it actually says like what that city tends to do. Like, you know, this one, Istanbul, improves your your like influence, your diplomacy, your skill. And say you already have a lot of that skill and you don't feel you need it. Maybe you just don't want to bother with that and just have something redundant that doesn't really help you. So you're going to investigate, do the actual city for a more random effect. Tokyo, see, has like defeat monsters. Well, you're in Tokyo, maybe you don't have a weapon, or maybe you're not a really good combat character, so you're going to say, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to have that. And Arkham Horror had that as well. They had different icons in the different locations, and they kind of hinted at, well, this will give you money, or this will get you clue tokens, or whatever. And that's cool. I do like how this one, instead of icons, it just tells you. This is what this location has the tendency to do. You'll notice that there are connections between the different locations. You can see, and there's a key here. You can see that the white lines are through ship. The uncharted is the yellow dots, and the train is the red lines, the little hash marks. These are important to note because as you travel, you are able to take an action that allows you to to plan your travel, like a travel agent, if you will. And you can get these icons. You can see one's a boat, and one there is a train. And so when you travel, you can expend those tokens to move extra spaces instead of just one for your movement. So, something to consider. But I'm going to go more into the different actions you can take when I get more into everything that the game, all the actions and all the different options you have when it is your turn when we get to that point. You'll notice that these locations have numbers on them. That is to designate where clues show up. Just like most of the, pretty much all of the Cthulhu type games from Fantasy Flight Games, clue tokens are important because they're used to solve mysteries and what have you. Yeah, solve mystery scoops. But on the backs of these, they'll actually have a number like this. And so if you drew this clue token, you would say, okay, this goes in number 2. And so you find the number 2, and then you place that clue token on there, like so. Okay, so you've starting to set up the game. I always love the instructions that say, place the game board on the table in front of you. Like, where would you put it? Would you throw it out in the yard? But anyway, so you place your game board, you get ready to go. Obviously, this is not where I play games mostly, due to the fact that this is kind of a smaller table. I usually play in my either my den or my kitchen, where I have larger tables. Because you can notice, I'm just going to pan down here. You can see I have put all the cards and all the wonderful, wonderful chits down here. I'm not going to focus on those at all. I'll be bringing them up as we go through, and I'll explain more. But I did want to show you this section over here. This is the reserve section. This is a really, really cool thing. I like this because in the other games when you collect items, it was kind of like a grab bag thing. And when the item reserve, you're putting cards out into the item reserve, and people can look at that and they can say, oh, well, there's a weapon out there, or there's an ally out there, and I want to be able to, take that item. And so in the setup, you'll be able to take that. You'll also notice that right over here, this is something you can always take. It's a bank loan. You can perform an acquire action. When you do, and I'll explain that later, you can gain a debt condition to immediately add 2 successes to your test results. So it's one of those things where you can go into debt to be able to make sure you get something if you didn't roll enough successes. You can't see that because of the fact that I can't show you the entire board otherwise, but I wanted to make sure you did see that bank loan does sit there. And I do apologize for moving the camera. I absolutely hate doing that during reviews. So there you go. All right. So we have taken the game board, we've placed it down, we've got all of our tons of little cards, tons of little bits, tons of awesome little fiddliness, not nearly as much as Arkham Horror, but lots of awesome little fiddliness, and we're ready to get the game going. So I'm just going to be doing this like it's a two-player game, and so the next step is going to be choosing your investigators. And so to choose your investigators, you do get a nice healthy stack of investigators, and you go through them all. And a lot of the classics are here: Leo Anderson, the expedition leader, Jim Culver, the musician. If you've played the other games, Mark Harrigan, the soldier. If you've played the classic Arkham Horror or Elder Sign, you've definitely seen these people, or Mansions of Madness. So as everybody knows, whenever you play a game like this, you need one person who can fight things, and you need one smart person. So we're going to take Jacqueline Fine, the psychic, because she's smart, and we're going to take Mark Harrigan because he's dumb, but he's tough. And so you can notice that, like you can see, like the different skills. I didn't quite, not that it's impossible to read these, but like the 4 kind of looks like a 1 at first glance, so it kind of always throws me off a little bit, but whatever. No big deal. So here you have lore, influence, observation, strength, will. It's like lore of 4. Mark Harrigan's kind of dumb. Lore 1. Their influence is about the same, so they're not going to get a lot of items, which may kind of stink. But observation, but you notice Mark's strong, he's got a strong will, and and so forth. And so you have that. You have your starting health and sanity, 4 and 8, and 8 and 4, polar opposites. And then you have the different abilities you have. Like as an action, you and one monster in your space each lose 1 health, so he can just like automatically hurt something. You cannot become delayed or gain a detained condition unless you choose to. Very nice ability. Being delayed means you basically lose a turn, and losing a turn in Arkham Horror or cooperative games is like the worst thing possible. So action, you may trade any number of clues with an investigator on any space. So that's obviously awesome. And once per round, when another investigator gains a non-common condition, you may look at the back of the card and gain a clue. Now you might be saying, what do you mean, like a non-common condition? Well, the thing is that there is this condition deck. And one of the things about Eldritch Horror is that this game is very deadly. Lots of bad things happen, and you will go through investigators if you're not careful. But you can see there's these conditions like amnesia, back injury, blessed, cursed, dark pact, even debt. Like if you decide you're going to take the bank loan, you're in debt at that point. And so you have these conditions that you can take. And some of them, like debt, you willingly take. But a lot of them are just like, if you fail at a roll somewhere, you'll end up with like a back injury. And so what happens then is that the person who suffers it, there's the 3 cards, they take one, and they have that with their character. And so like here's back injury. And injury, when you perform a rest action, you may roll 1 die, on a 5 or 6 you can discard it. So, oh, thank goodness my back feels right. But you notice there's this icon here, and there'll be more of this later when we go through the Mythos cards. But this is a reckoning, and basically whenever you get a reckoning result on a Mythos card, everything that has a reckoning symbol, this big red thing or that little thing right there, you have to test. In this case, if you test strength, and tests are rolling dice, you roll 1 die for each level of that skill you have. You need to 5 or 6 to succeed. So you test it, and if you succeed, nothing happens. However, if you fail, you flip it over, and it's like you have something bad happens, which in case this is your hand begins to shake uncontrollably, breaking whatever you're holding, your whole body's overcome with tremors, discard 1 item, possession, and become delayed. So, and you discard the card. And so it's something bad that happens to you other than just a back injury. Now, you might be saying, why are there 3 cards? Well, the reason why there are 3 cards is like, here's another back injury. But the back of this one is like nerve damage. And so it's a different result. And I love these because some of these are like, fairly, are like, fairly, what's we're looking for here? They're not horrible, but they're definitely like good, but they're not like debilitating. But some of them can really stink, and you have no idea which one you have. Obviously, so that girl's psychic ability is really helpful because they can look at the back of the card and they can tell you exactly what's going to happen to you if you fail it, and should I rush to get it? Like look at internal injury, and I'm not going to show you a lot of these because part of the fun of this game is like experiencing like the mystery of the game and letting it unfold in front of you, which is why I always love when they come up with expansions that have tons of more cards and like if they have tons more of these and things like that. But like here's like an internal injury, same kind of deal. You roll, if you fail, it's like, oh, it's like you keep your hand, cracked rib, you keep your hand pressed against your side, oh, you lose a health. Oh, that's not so bad, right? That's it stinks that I lost a health, but it's not so bad or whatever. But here's excruciating pain. Notice there, lose 3 health. It's like when you finally regain, the floor is covered in blood, lose 3 health. Well, there's lots of people that have 4 health to start with, like the psychic here. And say you had a bad experience where you had gotten into like a fight and you lost 1 health already. Bam, you're dead. You're out of the game because you didn't get that injury healed up because you hadn't taken care of it. So, love these condition cards. Love the like narrative they add to the game. Love the like, once again, the game just messing with you and making it tough for you. So I really, really enjoy that aspect. So, anyway, I'm kind of jumping around here, so I apologize for that, but just kind of trying to show you the game. Here we go. So we start off the game. Mark Harrigan. We turn the back. We find out Mark Harrigan starts in space 14. So we'll take Mark here, and we'll find space 14, and it's right there. And we'll see that Mark starts with a revolver and kerosene. So I already went through and grabbed these. Here he has a gun, gives him +2 during combat encounters, and then here's the kerosene. You can discard this to gain +5 during combat, so that he burns everything alive or what have you. So we'll take those 2 items and we'll go ahead and put that with your character. I'm going to point out one other thing. Another thing that's so cool about this game is that you'll notice that there's these 2 boxes here. It says, in case of a crippling injury or death, that's up here. In case of insanity or other psychosis here. If your investigator dies or becomes insane because you lose all your health or you lose all your sanity, you don't so much die as you flip your character over like you're delayed, and then you put all their possessions and everything that they have on that spot. And if somebody can make it to that spot, they actually have an encounter with the character, and then something can happen if you're able to succeed in the encounter. I mean, as that player, you get a new character and you get to play somebody else, which is cool. But how cool is that? Like the person's story isn't over. It isn't just a pile of their weapons and items on that spot waiting for somebody else to come over and grab them. There's actually like their story isn't over. I mean, it's almost over because they're insane or they're lying on their deathbed. But it's just that added cool little added bonus to the game that makes it cool. But anyway, so we have Jacqueline Fine, and then she gets a Flesh Ward spell, and she gets a clue. So we'll go ahead and just give her 1 random clue token, and we'll give her a Flesh Ward spell. Now, I'm going to show you how the spells work, even though technically she wouldn't know, because there's like, once again, the back of these are different. So Flesh Ward, it's a fairly common spell. You've seen it in other like Arkham Horror and what have you. Once per round, when an investigator will lose health, you may test lore. If you pass, prevent that investigator from losing up to 2 health. Then flip this card. So you test it, you flip the card. Bam. So here it is. Resolve the effect based on your test result. If you didn't get any successes, something inside your chest shifts painfully. The chosen investigator loses 1 health and unless he gains an internal injury condition. So, like, you wouldn't prevent any of the damage, and they actually take more. 1 to 2, the spell causes skin to writhe and reform like a living being. No additional effect. Flesh and bone mend themselves and harden against attack. Prevent that investigator from losing health up to your test result instead. Then flip this card. So there you go. It's something that you're going to be flipping back and forth. Right away at the very beginning, you don't know what the back of that particular result is going to be. Now then, if we dig around, here's another Flesh Ward spell, and you flip it over. Completely different. It's like 0, the spell's energy twists around you and locks your jaw shut. You don't know if you'll be allowed to speak those words again. If you do not roll any 4s, discard this card. So you could lose the spell. 1+, it's unpleasant to watch this transformation. Even when it succeeds, you lose a sanity just from casting the spell. So you don't know if you got like the good spell or the bad spell until you actually cast it and you turn her over and you see what it is. Another awesome little cool twist that this game has. This game's all about kind of the mystery and weighing your options and your choices, if you will. So, and Jacqueline Fine begins in the American Heartland, Space 3. So, wait a minute, Space 5. I'm sorry, I can't read. So we'll go ahead and put her there. So, we've gone ahead and we've picked that. One of the things about the game, and I'm kind of, once again, this is my personal feeling. I know, when you're playing, you're supposed to put these little health tokens, on your guy, because he's got 8 health. So you place them on there like so, and then you remove them as you take damage. The way we've always played is we just add the tokens as you take damage. I don't know, it's just the way we played. I don't think it really affects anything. It's just, it seems to make more sense, and technically it's kind of less fiddly because you don't have a bunch of stuff on your card, if you will. So, now you have to, determine the ancient one. You get 4 with the game, and that just means that I know, with Arkham Horror, you got 8 and stuff like that, and all this means is that, you know what, expansions, more ancient ones, more awesomeness, that's okay. So you have Cthulhu, Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, and Shub-Niggurath. I am going to take Cthulhu because I'm showing you, why wouldn't I take Cthulhu? Cthulhu is awesome. So we won't be using these guys, sorry boys, and we're going to go ahead and put those aside, and we have to take out the parts for Cthulhu for the setup. And each, it'll tell you exactly what the setup is. Set aside a Deep 1 monster, a Star Spawn monster, and all the Cthulhu special encounter cards. So, I've already done that. We have a Deep 1 and a Star Spawn. We'll just take those aside, and we'll put them on Cthulhu, because the reason why you do that is because certain encounters and stuff will cause you need to have those handy to be able to play them. And then each one of the ancient ones, they have their own deck of cards. Shub-Niggurath. I believe this is Azathoth. Yeah, that's no, that's not that. That's Yog-Sothoth. Sorry, and that would be Azathoth. So they're those decks. We're not using them, so I'm going to take those, put them aside, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the Cthulhu ones. Now, there are 4 mystery cards that Cthulhu has. The mystery cards are, you have to solve 3 of these before you are able to turn over the Cthulhu card and do the final mystery. So that's one of the things. And then there are the special Cthulhu encounter cards, and not every one of them has a special. I think only 2 of them have the special encounter cards. But the reason why is because these Arlia Risen. really, risen. I know a lot of people. There's a lot of arguments as far as how to do it. That is one of the mysteries. These would be the encounters for that mystery if you're trying to take care of it. And then these are the research or like mystery cards, if you will. And you turn these over when you investigate the clue tokens that turn over. And so you'll turn these over and experience the mythos specific to the Ancient One encounters. Remember in Arkham Horror where like, you'd be like turning cards over and it'd just be like, it was just a mishmash of stuff that didn't really make sense because it was like, oh, we're trying to defeat Yog-Sothoth, but then it's like, oh, and here's like a key in yellow thing, or here's a color in outer space thing, and color from outer space, and stuff like that, and it didn't really like tie together well. It just didn't. But here you actually get encounters that are like going to be Cthulhu specific, and so that like once again, it's that whole immersion thing. It's that whole interesting like to make the game more gripping, if you will, and also like it extends the narrative, if you will, because this is definitely a game that tells a story when you play it, and you kind of get caught up in it. So the first thing you do is you turn over the first mystery card, and the first one, this will be Stars Are Right. When this card enters play, move each clue on the game board to a nearest C space. After investigator resolves a research encounter, you may spend one clue you gain from that encounter to place that clue on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to the number of investigators, that's what that little icon is there, you solve the mystery. And then if you solve it, then you turn the next one over, and so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and we will place that with Cthulhu, and we'll go ahead and we'll put that to the side of the game board. And so we have that to look at. Now, we'll have to create the monster cup now. Basically, all the other monsters, other than the ones that we took aside, I've placed in this thing. It's like the classic monster cup. When we're going to spawn monsters, you just draw one randomly out of here. And when you kill monsters, you put them back in the opaque mug that I have. You can use anything you want, but obviously a big giant mug or cup probably works best. There are epic monsters that are easy to tell because they are red barred, and they also are missing one side, so they're easy to actually feel. These are never put into the cup. These monsters are spawned due to like special things that happen on the board, and so you just kind of put those off to the side, and you wait until those happen and those occur. There's all these other decks of cards that I panned down. I showed you. You can kind of see some there. You just shuffle those up and you do it. However, you do have to make the Mythos deck for the game. Now, remember in Arkham Horror, you had that giant Mythos deck and just hundreds of cards or whatever. This one, you have a specific set of cards, and like one of the things, even if you are managed to keep your Doom track up and you don't lose it or whatever, one of the things about it is that if you ever run out of the Mythos deck cards, the Mythos deck, you lose then too, because you've basically, even though you survived that long, you're okay. So you can see, like it says, stage 1, 2 yellow, 2 blue, and then stage 2, 2 green, 3 yellow, no blue, and then 3 and 4. So these are the Mythos cards. And you can see here some blue ones, some green ones, some yellow ones. And so the first thing we're gonna do is we need to take 2 yellow. So I'm just gonna grab 2 yellow at random, and then 2 blue. And I will then grab 2 blue at random, and that is the top part of the deck. And then we grab 1 green at random and 3 yellow. And I'm just, technically you're supposed to like shuffle them and whatever, but I mean these have been shuffled from the many games I've played already, so we'll just make it easy. And then the final part is 3 green, like so, and 4 yellow. And that's bad because like you'll learn as you play the game, like yellow never spawns clue tokens or anything like that, and it usually propels the omen track more, and so they're kind of like the bad card. So that it's kind of telling that as the game progresses, it's going to get more and more difficult. So that's going to be the top part. We'll shuffle up these like so. Put that there. And then the final part, and these, like, obviously phase 1 is on top. Phase 2 now was below, underneath that. We'll shuffle up this one. And like so. So now we have our Mythos deck. And we'll just go ahead and place that somewhere where it won't be in the way. Normally it would be off the deck, but I want you to be able to see it, so I'm just going to place it right there. All right. Now, the final thing we have to do is we have to spawn gates and most likely, and then also have a monster. Now, these icon references actually are very helpful because it says number of players there, and it tells you what to do. So, like, up to 8 people, and so we have 2, and you can see that number 2 players, we're going to spawn 1 gate. If there's a monster surge, we'll get 1 monster, and when we spawn clues, we spawn 1. So you kind of place that off to the side. So we spawn a gate. So I'll just grab a gate and then we turn it over. And it says Istanbul. So not Constantinople. We'll go ahead and put that there. And then we'll take a random clue token. And it's in Tokyo. So we'll go ahead and place that clue token in Tokyo. And then, because we have a gate, it's going to get a monster. So we will... This is kind of nice, actually, because, Mark's right there. You should be able to move over there and get the monster. So, and we get a Nofke. Alright, you can notice that it will have a reckoning effect when reckoning comes over. And also, this little green thing is whenever this spawns, something happens. So we'll turn it over. When this monster is spawned, move it to the Himalayas. Alright, well, fine. It's now in the Himalayas. So we have our gate, we have our clue, and we had a monster in Istanbul, but it decided it didn't like Constantinople or Istanbul, and it went to the Himalayas. There are a couple other things, and actually I did this before. Some of you might have noticed that there's this little token here. This is the expedition token. The reason why that's there is because this is the expedition deck, and when expeditions happen, they're like lengthy encounters that will test the player, and they're usually very worth it to do it. But this is the Tunguska location, so you place the expedition there, so you know where that's going to be. And actually, I did forget something else as well. If you remember correctly, when I turned this over, this is actually supposedly the last thing you do during setup. And it says when the card move each clue on the game board to the nearest sea space. So I should have done that. So the Tokyo, because the game wraps around, it's actually going to go over here and be in that location because of the fact that the clue token will move and be on that, because it has to move to the nearest sea space that's on there. So now we have our 2 investigators, we have our gate, we have everything, and we're finally ready to play the game. Now, I say that kind of jokingly. Oh, wait a minute. We're not ready. I have to put the reserve out. So here are the 4 things that are available. A fishing net, fine clothes, an urban guide, and a Vatican missionary. So I'm just going to kind of just so you can kind of see, the Vatican missionary, is an ally. You gain an observation. You may reroll 1 die when rolling that kind of a test. Obviously, very useful. Urban guide, if you're on a city space. Investigators on your space, roll 1 additional die when resolving tests, except when resolving other world encounters. Obviously, and the number up here is the cost of that particular item. When you do an acquire acquisitions check, you roll your influence, and for every success you get, that's how much you have to spend. Technically, there's no money really in the game, but that's how you get that. Here we can have like find clothes. Each 6 you roll when performing and acquire assets counts as 2 successes. So the pay for itself. So and then finally the fishing net. You may reroll 1 die when resolving strength test during a combat encounter. Reduce the damage of monsters you encounter by 1 to a minimum of 1. So obviously, I don't know why a fishing net is that useful, but well, there you go. So. Now we're completely set up and we're ready to go, and we can start with our actions. So there are 3 phases in the game: the action phase, the encounter phase, and then the mythos phase. During the action phase, you can travel, you can rest, you can trade if somebody's in the same spot as you. And then now I remember like in other games, like trade was, if you just walk through, you could just hand things off. Here it's an actual action to have to trade. You can prepare for travel, like I described before, by getting the tickets that allow you to move further. You can acquire assets or attempt to acquire assets. And then you can take other actions that are either on your character sheet or cards that you may have claimed. Now, it's important to note that a lot of the actions that you're taking, you get 2 actions, but you can't like repeat the same thing. So you might think, oh, travel, move twice, so you can get somewhere. No, I mean the only way you can really move faster is if you actually acquire these tickets that allow you to move faster. You can't rest twice to heal yourself twice, because like whenever you rest, you get 1 sanity and 1 health back. But you can move and rest. You can move and try to acquire assets. Things like that. And so, there is a little bit of a plotting that you need to do whenever you're deciding what you want to do. Now, when you want to try to for travel, let's start with to travel. It's obviously pretty easily. You just move, and then that's how that goes. If you want to expend tokens, you just expend them at that time, and then you move the extra spaces. So a travel without tokens, just boom, that's a travel. Resting, you just stay in the same place where you are. You heal 1 of each, one health, 1 sanity. Trade, pretty simple. You just hand off items and go back and forth between the 2 people. Preparing for travel, you have to, if you want to get a boat, you have to be someplace that's attached to a boat line. Like in Rome, like here's a boat line. If you want to get one for a train, you have to be someplace that's, you guessed it, attached by train for that action to work. Acquiring assets, you have to be in a city to do that. So that's the role I said for the successes, to actually try to get some items, if you will. And then the component actions, that is determined by the actual card or the thing that's on your player card. So like it determines where you can do it or not. Like you remember Mark Harrigan had the action, you and 1 monster in your space each lose 1 health. Obviously he just has to be in a spot that has a monster. So pretty self-explanatory as far as. So movement, as I said, is easy, but let's just do our psychic's turn, and then we'll do Mark's turn, and we'll go from there. So Jacqueline is right there. We want her to get over to that clue because we want to get it, so we can hopefully start working on the mystery. So, but we can't move twice, unfortunately. We can't go like that and just get there. So we're gonna move to San Francisco, and as our move, and now we're sitting there, and we can say, well, I don't need to rest because I'm not hurt. I can't trade with anybody. So, technically, she has the ability to, as an action, to trade clue tokens with other people. But, she does have a clue token, but we're going to hold on to it for right now. So let's try to acquire assets using a city. Maybe one of these items, if we can get lucky, that'll work. So we're going to look at our card. We see 2 influence, and so we're going to roll these 2 dice. And I got no successes. Awesome. And so, unfortunately, we can't succeed. However, if you do get no successes, and I don't want to take out a bank loan, I want to go into debt right now just to get an item, you can still discard one of the items. So we're going to just, this thing costs 4. It's a pretty good card, but I don't think we're going to be able to get it anytime soon because, like I said, it costs 4. So we're going to go ahead and discard that, and then we're going to replace it with a new card. And so here we go. Oh, they're right up whiskey. You can discard this item to prevent an investigator on your space from losing up to 2 sanity. So that's always nice. We'll go ahead and put good old whiskey on that spot. And that will be Jacqueline's turn. So, Mark wants to get maybe over to Istanbul. Maybe he wants to close that gate. So we'll go ahead and, maybe he wants to work his way also over the Himalayas. And we can go ahead and take out maybe that Nafka or whatever it is. So we're going to go ahead and move to Rome. And, thinking about this now, you know what? Let's try to acquire assets with him too. That whiskey looks pretty good. Mark also has an influence of 2, so we're gonna roll 2 dice. Double ones, awesome. That's great. So I'm off to a great roll right now. We're just not going to do anything. We're not going to discard any. I like the ones that are out there right now. We're going to leave that as it is, and then we will go ahead on to the next phase, which is the encounter phase. Sorry, I was going to say mythos phase, but I am incorrect. So now we have a situation where each player is going to have an encounter on the location that they're at, and once again, you can look and you can actually see, because they're in a city, they have an option of either drawing a general action or drawing one that's for the actual city they're on. And so San Francisco says it will improve. Oh man, I mentioned that I misspoke. This is the will stat, not observation. The I is observation. I apologize for that. But so we have Jacqueline. She's in San Francisco. She's the first to act because she's the lead investigator at this point. And it should be noted that, like, you know how lots of games have a situation where the lead investigator then will move, and so somebody else is the first player. The lead investigator determines whether or not they want to hand off who's the first player. It's important to note that sometimes bad things happen to the lead investigator with mythos stacks and things like that. So sometimes it can be in your best interest to give it up, to give it to somebody. But for the most part, it really doesn't matter who's first, second, because it's a cooperative game anyway. But anyway, so here we go. We got our green card. We're going to flip it over. We're going to look at San Francisco. A pulp author named Smith invites you to read his work. The stories disturb you. I'm going to have to test will. If you pass, you gain insight into how the invisible world remains hidden. Improve observation. If you fail, the tale chills you to the bone. Gain a madness condition. All from just talking to somebody about their works of literature. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and look at her will. She's got a will of 3. So I'm going to roll 3 dice. I'm looking for a 5 or 6. Oh, look at that. 6, 6, 1. Bam! We got it. So, what we'll do is we take one of these tokens that has that observation, and we're going to go ahead and add 1. And so you just put it on your card like so. You can see it, and so now you know that you have a +1 on that. Notice on the back, it actually says +2. So if I got that again, I would just flip the token over. So there we go. We succeeded there. That was actually pretty good. So we'll go ahead over to Mark here, who's in Rome. And when in Rome, we'll go ahead and we'll draw Rome. Rome. Ever since arriving in Rome, you've had nightmares about being betrayed. You try to assure yourself that they are only dreams. A will check. If you pass, the nightmare stops. Improve will. If you fail, the nightmares continue, and you lose 1 sanity. Awesome. All right. So we'll go ahead and check out. But Mark's pretty tough. He's got a will of 4. I don't think we're going to have a problem here. So we'll go ahead and take these dice. Look at that, 665. That's awesome. So, bam, he got through it. We'll go ahead and take the +1. Not that he really needs it since he's pretty awesome, but we'll go ahead and add that to his card, and he'd have a 5 will now going forward. All right, so then that's the encounter phase. We've completed that. Now we're going to move on, and we are going to go... Oh, a couple things about encounters. If you're on the spot with a monster, you have to encounter the monster first. If you can defeat the monster, then you can actually encounter the spot. Normally, you can't really do anything until like that monster is gone or you've encountered it. So it's important to note that like if Mark had been here in the Himalayas, he would have to have defeated that monster first before he could encounter the spot. So there you go. So now we move on to the Mythos phase. At the start of the Mythos phase, the lead investigator will draw the top card on the Mythos deck and reveal it. And the first thing that you're going to do is that you are going to look at the top here. And these are the icons that are determine what's going to happen. So the first thing is that you will move the omen track by 1. That's what this icon is here. So we go up here to the omen track, we move it to this location. And the first thing you do is you check to see if you have any gates open on the board that have that icon. We only have 1 gate, and it's got the comet icon. So our doom track, thankfully, does not decrease. The next thing you check is you go ahead and you see that this here is the Resolve Reckoning effects. So anything that has a Reckoning effect on it is enacted at this time. So, and you do it in a very specific order. You do monsters, then ancient ones, then ongoing mythos cards, and then finally investigator possessions and conditions. So we do have a monster. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick the Nafke. We look and it says each investigator on this space loses 1 health. That's what the reckoning is. Well, no, there is nobody on that spot, so that doesn't do anything. Next up is Ancient Ones. And you'll notice that Cthulhu here has 1 on there. And so we'll go ahead and right here it says each investigator on a C space that does not contain an Eldritch token places an Eldritch token on that space. Well, and the reason for that is because those Eldritch tokens start messing with you as they start populating the C spaces. But right now, we don't have anybody at C, and so that doesn't affect anybody either. Pretty uneventful Reckoning phase, but they tend to be way more of a reckoning, if you will. Because usually people have conditions and things like that they have to check if that happens. And sometimes they can like have conditions on the board that are so debilitating that if you get too many reckoning effects, you just lose. But that's the reckoning effect. And finally, the last thing on there is spawn a gate. So we'll just go ahead and grab a gate here at random. And Sydney. So Australia gets a gate, and because we just spawned a gate, we will go ahead, draw a monster. It is a cultist. And cultists are actually, I'm glad I drew one, because cultists are actually pretty cool. I mean, they're not cool so much as, because if you look at the back, the cultist has generic stats. It has no stats, technically, because each ancient one, their cultist does something different. So we're going to go ahead and place that there. And then we're going to, and note, if you'll notice that the cultist also has that icon, meaning that once it's spawned, and that happens everything, not just during a Mythos phase, anytime a monster comes out of the monster cup for whatever reason and shows up on the board and has that icon, you immediately do its spawning result. So you check the cultists, and like here's like the health. It doesn't affect you, like monsters will affect your sanity just by seeing them. These cultists do not, and they have 1 health and 1 toughness, so you have to do at least 1 point of damage to them. Before resolving the strength test, you lose a sanity. just by walking up and seeing them, they automatically like make you go crazy before you even start fighting them. And you can see that, what is it? I remember I mentioned that Eldritch token thing. When an investigator moves onto a space containing an Eldritch token, they become delayed and lose one sanity. So that's how, Eldritch tokens just kind of end up in the sea. There's other things that they do depending on different mythoses and things like that as well. But something that happens when that occurs. So that's like the cultists for Cthulhu, and like they're different. Like here, let me just show you quick. Like here's like Azathoth's cultists, and after resolving the will test, you just lose a health and defeat the monster. So you automatically have to do a will test to fight him, but then you just automatically kill him. So it's a little bit different as far as that's concerned. And I like that. I like the fact that the cultists are different depending on which ancient one you happen to be fighting. Now, as I said, like there is the also the spawn token on there, and you would also look on the cultist back here, and you can see that for Cthulhu cultists, thankfully there isn't like a spawn reaction here, so that when they come out for that particular ancient one, they do not. But like I said, the cultists, like being different, everything that's neat. So we've gone ahead and we've made our gate. We've put our monster on it. We have completed the mythos, and then here we go. Rally the people event. The lead investigator gains one random ally asset from the deck. Well, that's pretty cool. So when you do that, what we've done, since there's really no way you can't really like, I suppose you can go through the entire deck and like find all the allies and draw one randomly. But what we've done is we just kind of turn them over until, like here, we got an ally in the second one, private investigator. So gain +1 observation. You can re-roll 1 die when resolving that effect. So we'll go ahead and add that to the character, and then we just take the deck and we reshuffle it, and to get the asset deck set up once again. So that was the first mythos phase, and so not so bad. We're still doing pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the next turn. Jacqueline decides she's not going to give up her role as far as the lead investigator is concerned, and so for her action, she's obviously going to head over towards that clue token to try to research that and try to get behind the first mystery that we have. And but she's in San Francisco, so why not see if we can acquire something. So we're going to roll 2 dice and see if we get lucky. Well, 2 6s. We got lucky. So that's 2. Why don't we go ahead, and she's not a fighter, so we're not going to worry about that. But let's go ahead and take the fine clothes, which doubles those things. And doubles 6s when we do acquire. And so then we'll replace it. We have a bullwhip. We'll go ahead and place that there. And then we'll move her out to sea on that clue token. And now here we have some like interesting decisions that we can make with our soldier. There's a gate right here that we can move and we can try to close. That's always a good idea. We want to close the gates because that's what kind of propels the doom track down. But we have a monster sitting there waiting to fight. We also have the expedition up here, so maybe that's something we want to do as well. So, but let's close the gate. That's probably the best thing we can do. And so we'll go to that location, and we'll also try to acquire assets. And we'll roll. I got 1 success. So, do I want the whiskey or do I want the bullwhip? What's the bullwhip do here? Hold on. Gain +1 strength during combat encounters. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving strength test during a combat encounter. Well, I got a gun already, so let's just take the whiskey. I like the idea of not having to lose sanity. So we'll take the whiskey and replace that with an axe right there. And So we've taken our 2 actions, and now we're going to resolve our encounters. So we're on a spot over here with a clue token. So since we're on a spot with a clue token, we don't draw a C encounter. We will actually go to the deck of like research encounters here with Cthulhu on the back. We'll take one, we'll flip it over, and we're at C where a clue is, so we're going to go ahead and look at this. During the night, you hear the sounds of a crew battling some unseen enemy. Suddenly you're face to face with one of the fish-like monstrosities. Gain this clue and lose one's sanity. A deep one monster ambushes you. If you defeat it, you find an odd relic. Gain the Ruby Arella artifact. Okay, well, we gained the clue, which is cool, because if you remember correctly, the stars are right. It says, when this card, after investigating involve a research encounter, he may spend 1 clue he gained from that encounter and place that clue on this card. So we're going to be able to do that. But first we're going to have to fight the deep one that just showed up to ambush. So we're going to go ahead and first things first, we have to lose a sanity. So we'll take a point of sanity and we'll place that on Jacqueline's card, so she's lost the sanity. And now this is cool because I'm going to be able to show you combat. Alright, so here we have a deep one, and then we flip it over, and we can see that it's, to test will, I need at least 2 successes for me to not go crazy seeing it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check Jacqueline's will. It is 3, and we are going to go ahead and roll 3 dice. We're going to hope we get some successes here. And I didn't get 3 4s. Almost, but not quite. So I don't get any. So it's 2 sanity. So I'm going to lose another 2 sanity from that particular location. So I'm going to put 2 more sanity on my... So she's down to 5. And then we're going to do a strength -1 test, and we have to get at least 1 success to take no damage, but we have to do at least 2 successes to actually hurt it and kill it. So we'll go ahead and, well, that's not good. So strength 1 -1, you still get 1 die. So we're going to go ahead and roll, and yay, a 1. So we fail that as well, so we're going to end up taking a point of damage from the deep one as well. So Jacqueline Fine has had better days. She took a boat out to sea, and fishy deep one crawled aboard and attacked her. But we got the clue token, right? And we're going to be able to put that on the stars are right. And we just need 1 more of those clue tokens, and then we'll be able to go ahead and close off that mystery. Now, remember, this wasn't an encounter where I ran into a monster that was already on the board. This was an encounter where I was ambushed. Now, normally, if you are fighting a monster and on the board and you don't defeat it, it stays there. But in this case, since I was ambushed by this, you fight 1 round of combat, and then you immediately, excuse me, you immediately, either if it was something you drew randomly from the cup, you would return to the cup. But in this case, since it's one of the monsters that we were told to set aside, we know the chances are we're going to run into it again, so you just put it back to the side of the board. But we resolved that encounter, and now we can take this clue token here, and we can add it to the stars are right. And as remember it said, at the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues in this card equal to the number of investigators, we solve this mystery. And so we're halfway done with our first mystery. So there you go. Now we go over to Mark, and Mark is going to have an encounter, and he's going to encounter the gate. And when you encounter the gate, you will draw an Otherworld card, like this. And these are kind of random as far as what shows up, but we'll turn it over, we'll see what we get. Now with these, they have a top saying, test this. If you succeed, then you do this. If you fail, you do this. So, Lost Carcosa. Turning the corner, you suddenly find yourself on stage. Other actors speak their dialogue and look at you expectantly. Somebody off stage passes you a script, but the text is difficult to interpret. Oh, good. Lore -1. So, Mark is not good with the book smarts. So, but we always get 1 die, remember? So we can get lucky. 5 or 6. No. So, we fail. And so we go here. The other actors glare at you, waiting for you to speak. You hope that by simply acting with confidence, they'll believe it's someone else's line. Roll influence. All right, well, it might not be bad, So here we go. We got 2 dice on Mark's influence. So here we go. A 5, a success. So we succeeded. If you fail, the show comes to stop and everybody silently leaves the theater. Advance the doom track by 1. So we didn't close the gate, but we didn't make things worse. So it's kind of like a victory, but not really a victory. But we didn't advance the doom track, so we managed to not completely suck when we got to that spot. So there we go. We did our encounters once again, and now we will draw another Mythos card. And here we have. The first thing is we're going to spawn a clue. And so, because 2 players, we spawn 1 clue. We will go ahead and draw this one. And spot 21. Spot 21. There we go. So now we have a clue down there by that gate and everything. So it's kind of nice that they're grouped together. And, you know, we can head down there to both get the clue and get other things as well. This next spot here, it says place a rumor token. So it says rumor in space 2. So these are the rumors. And so we'll go right where she is. That's kind of neat. So we'll go ahead and put that right there. And we'll go ahead and this is an ongoing card, so this will be on the board. This is an encounter. Investigator on Space 2 may use an ancient portal created by a long-dead wizard of Mu. He resolves an otherworld encounter. If the effect allows him to close this gate, solve this rumor instead. When there are no Eldritch tokens on this card, advance Doom by 1 for each gate on the game board. So, if you notice down here, the Reckoning card, discard 1 Eldritch token from this card. So, you're going to start, and up here it says there's 4 Eldritch tokens on the card. So somebody has to solve this, or else if they ever run out of Eldritch tokens, what's going to happen is that you would, for every gate that's on the board, you would advance the Doom track by that. Luckily, we just have her sitting there, which is very fortuitous actually. And then you just draw 4 of these tokens here, and these are used for pretty much everything. They're just, and you just place those on the card like so. And now that there is a out in that spot, as luck would have it, one of our investigators is that they'll sit there. And but we also have a clue, which is good. And remember, these clues are the ones that we need to use to solve that. So Mark's going to have to head down here probably, because I want to leave her there to solve that rumor. But I'm not going to keep playing because this has gone on fairly long as it is. But I mean, so the game will continue. This will move around. You'll lose more Doom tracks, stuff like that. It didn't really adjust much, but as the game progresses, you can see how things can kind of build up. You're going to start getting more gates on the board. You're going to start getting more monsters. And what you have the option to do, just like if you other games like Arkham Horror, you start to feel kind of overwhelmed by everything that's on there. And slowly but surely the game becomes more and more difficult, and there's just not enough people, not enough actions to get everything done. If this reaches 0, that is when you actually flip over the card. And normally, if you solve all 3 mysteries, you'll defeat Cthulhu and you'll win. If you flip this over, Cthulhu actually rises from the sea. So Cthulhu himself actually enters the game board, and so you have to fight him. And also, the cultists get a little more difficult, and you still have to solve all the mysteries. When the 3 mysteries are solved, Cthulhu rises from the sea, spawn the Cthulhu epic monster on space 3. So he doesn't show up until you've actually solved all 3 mysteries. But if you notice, they're also, like up here, each time a doom would advance, you place 1 sanity token on this sheet instead. Each investigator loses 1 sanity for each sanity token on this sheet. Then if all investigators are eliminated, the investigators lose the game. And so you can see, like, this is kind of like an end game thing. You don't want to reach 0 on the doom track. As you've probably guessed, like if Azathoth actually, you know, the world ender, you just lose. The world is, of course, devoured. But, so there you go. So that's the last aspect of the game I didn't really show you. You know, just like in Arkham Horror, if the monster awakens, you don't necessarily lose, but the game gets exceptionally more difficult at that point. So there you go. I mean, that's a rough... Well, that's exactly what happens over 2 turns of the game. I hope that was informative. Just so you know, like, if we had gone to Tunguska, those are exactly kind of the same. Like a strange color you've never seen before, permeates the air, crawls like a phosphorus mist. Along your surface, you can feel its corrosive effect on your skin. You struggle to escape the area. So, like, if Mark Harrigan had gone there, we would have tested strength, something that, you know, he has 4 of. So we'd see if we got success. Of course, I wouldn't roll 1, but anyway. But, like, so the ground, so if you fail, the ground shakes, you're knocked off your feet, lose 1 health, gain a leg injury condition. Gray dust fills the air, but you think you see a light. Observation -1, if you pass, you see the color fly up into the air. Retreat the doom by 1, so you'd actually, like, gain 1 on the doom track. If you succeeded, behind you, the color flies up into space. You try to interpret what you've seen, a lore check. If you pass, you're sure the threat has passed. Retreat doom by 1. If you fail, your mind cannot accept what you've seen, gain an amnesia condition. Probably not the best spot for Mark to have gone, so maybe it was a good thing that we didn't go there. But you can see it's like, oh, yay, I succeeded. Oh, but I went insane because I succeeded. And then you hear, oh, no, I failed. Oh, well, my leg's broken, but if I, you know, succeed another thing, it's you know, not necessarily, you know, succeeding doesn't necessarily give you something good, and failing isn't always 100% horrible. So it's nice. I like that aspect of the game. It's just like it keeps you on your toes. It isn't just like, oh, I screwed up. It's like, oh wait, that wasn't all that bad, that kind of thing. But there you go. That's how you kind of play Eldritch Horror. There's obviously a lot more to it, but let me tell you exactly what I think about this game. Oh, Arkham Horror. You'll always have a place in my heart. Please, please don't be sad. You're just gonna chase after the new beautiful thing, aren't you? Just the newest young skirt that happens to walk down the aisle. No, 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 no. I still love you, Arkham Horror. All those great experiences you and I had. Please, please don't be sad. How can you do this to me? Alright, so that was a little dramatic. But, as I said in the intro, this review is a little bit bittersweet, and I'm just going to flat out say right now, I like this game more than I like Arkham Horror. And I know it's like my #1 game of all time, and I feel horrible in saying that, and maybe, just maybe, it is the Cult of the New. And maybe, just maybe, it is just the new cuteness that comes down the aisle of work and makes my heart go all pitter-pat and like, ooh, look at that. But I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is about Eldritch Horror that makes me like it more. You know, well, let's just kind of phase back a little bit. What makes a good cooperative game? #1, it should kick my ass the first time I play it. No exceptions. I don't care what if the cooperative game is supposed to be tough and it is supposed to be difficult, it is supposed to grab me by the throat the first time I play it, and it just slam me against the wall and say, fool, you have no idea what you're doing, try again. That's what I want out of a cooperative game. Elder Sign didn't do that. I kicked Elder Sign's butt. I've never lost a game of Elder Sign in my entire life. I still enjoy it. It's still okay. But seriously, I have never lost a game of Elder Sign. No, that's not a cooperative game. That's just you just having fun talking to your buddies and playing a game. Arkham Horror, and you know what? She's showing her age, but you know what? She's matured nicely, and she's still beautiful. And Arkham Horror still kicks my butt, even though I know what I'm supposed to do. It still kicks my butt. So I love it for that. Mansions of Madness you can't really compare because it isn't really a cooperative game. It's one against all. And Touch of Evil you can't really compare either, because in Touch of Evil, in my humble opinion as a board game reviewer, Touch of Evil, it's a game that it's a race to be the person to solve the mystery, and because you're messing with people. Yes, you can play the game. You can play the game cooperatively, but I always felt like the cooperative rules for Touch of Evil were just kind of like, oh, we got this really cool game, and this works really well because we have take that actions, and everybody's racing to solve the mystery, and whoever solves it first wins. But I always felt like, oh, but wait, we need a cooperative version of the game as well. And I always felt the cooperative rules were kind of just jammed in there, and they made a cooperative game out of another game, and it never really clicked for me. So whenever I played a Touch of Evil, even though I played it cooperative a few times, I always played it the way that the non-cooperative method, if you will. Sorry, I got a cold. But so Eldritch Horror I haven't won yet. I've played it now 5 times, and it's beating me every single time. So that alone, thank you, because now, going back, when I lose, am I having fun? Yes. The best thing about Arkham Horror was that when it was kicking my butt, it told me a story, and it made it for a funny story, and you could laugh at the people that rolled poorly, and you could laugh at your own stupidity or poor choices, and then that made when you actually made a good roll, or when you made a good choice, or you were just there in the perfect spot, having that perfect item in the perfect moment, that made it that much more epic and wonderful. Eldritch Horror does that. It has a great story. Recently, the most recent game I played, I was playing the Charles Foster Kane guy, the politician. He's all about using his influence to get items. That's like his big thing to do, because he has this power to like he gets a personal assistant, an ally, right away at the beginning. And it's just like a secretary, basically. And that adds 1 to his influence checks, and also you get to re-roll one of your influence dice. So right away he's getting 5 dice. So when he was trying to acquire those items, he gets to roll 5 dice to do that, and he gets to re-roll 1. And so as just kind of like, because it's my group and we joke around and have fun, I called his because he kind of reminded me a little bit of Lex Luthor, just the picture and everything like that. I called him, called his personal assistant Mrs. Stepmeyer or whatever from the Superman movies. You know, Mrs. Stepmeyer! You know, like when he met man. And so whenever we'd say that, I'd be laughing and we'd be having fun. Well, going around the globe, everywhere I went, I'm sending Mrs. Stepmeyer out. Mrs. Stepmeyer, get me that gun! Mrs. Stepmeyer, get me that lucky rabbit's foot! You know, and we're having fun and we're laughing about it and having a good time. And so then it fell on me at one point when we were like basically a really bad elite monster came out. The Windwalker shows up in Canada, which is I think like Thakwa or something like that. But it's the Windwalker. It's this big, bad, epic monster, and it's just sitting up there in Canada. And every single time you drew a reckoning result with the Mythos card, it would take one of these little the tokens off of it, and if it ever ran out of tokens, it would immediately do 6 damage to everybody, and then disappear. Well, none of us had 6 health, so if we didn't get that thing and take it out, it was going to kill us. So, and I realize I'm telling a story, but just pay attention. So I go up there, because I'm the only guy who's got this big giant rifle that adds like 5 to my combat, and so I've got a ton of dice to roll against this thing, and I'm damaging it, and it's like, and every round we're drawing one of those mythical cards, it's a reckoning card, we're running out, and so I had it almost dead, seriously, like, almost dead. I had to give one more successful combat, basically. If I did 2 damage, I was going to kill it, and then, we can maybe still win this game, right? And the the person pulled over a Mythos card that said "Traitor in your midst" or something like that. And so one of your allies does basically you take 3 points of damage, can't do anything about it, and then vanishes. You discard. So basically, this person's been working against you the entire time, or whatever, and then they decide to knife you in the middle of the night. And so who's my ally? Master Stickmeyer. And so and then of course I've just been damaged because I've been fighting the Windwalker up in the Yukon, and of course so I'm the only chance that we have to win the game. And Mrs. Stepmeyer at the last round poisons my coffee, or shoots me in the back, or stabs me in the kidney because of I was sending her out to buy things for me the entire game. And you know what? And that was awesome. It killed me. I was dead. The next, I wasn't able to fight it, so nobody else could do it. The next card, Reckoning card, everybody dies. We lose, right? But that's hilarious. That's awesome. That's and it's such a cool way to end the game. And it was a story for my character throughout the entire thing, traveling the globe, collecting all these trinkets and guns and weapons and doing all these awesome things. And then I died. And then the world exploded because Azathoth ate it. And I had a blast. I'm telling you the story. I'm smiling because it was just so much fun. And that's what Eldritch Horror is. It is so much fun. Now then, why is it so much fun? Other than that, a totally cool thing like that just happened. Arkham Horror is a great game, but it's showing its age. It has so many working parts and so many little fiddly rules and so many little things, and I love it dearly. I do, Arkham Horror. I love you so much for all those things, and I don't really have to deal with all those little fiddly rules anymore because I know them all, because I've played this game probably 50 times. But the problem is that I shouldn't have to have all that fiddliness anymore. It's like when Relic came out, and you're sitting there, you're playing Relic, the Warhammer 40k version of Talisman, and I love Talisman, I do, but I don't have the love affair of it that I do with Arkham Horror. But then I was you sit there and you're playing Talisman, playing Relic, and you're like, why can't Talisman be like this? Why can't it just flow so much better and be so much easier and just so much better made, and just everything about it? And and I said in my review that can we just somehow cancel Talisman and remake it, make Talisman 5th edition and make it like Relic? I really hope they do that. I'm not saying we need to cancel Arkham Horror. I'm not going to have to make it be like Eldritch Horror. That's fine. I can have those two separate games. But the thing is that they've definitely, obviously, learned from the no, I don't want to say mistakes, but they've definitely learned what worked really well with Arkham Horror and what didn't work perhaps really well with Arkham Horror, and they took the unneeded crud, if A, B, C, D, and E to do F is what you have to do at Arkham Horror, they realized we don't really need B through D in here, do we? So let's just have A and E equals F. Because why do we want to bother our players with this weird upkeep and all these different if-then rules and all this stuff like that? And then they just did this. I mean, and I understand there's going to be some purists that are going to say, and I'm even kind of one of them, because I'm not going to give up on Arkham Horror. I'm still going to play it. I've got expansions up the wang that I'm going to be wanting to still play that I love about Arkham Horror. But I definitely in the boat of saying that why if I can still get that feel of the game, if I can still get that tension, that feeling of unstoppable doom, and still and have that wonderful story that the game tells me, then, and I can do it without all the excess fat, if you will. I can just trim that off, and I can play it with Ultra. Why would I want to put myself through it? And I'm saying this, and it hurts me because I love Arkham Horror. I do, and like I said, it's my greatest game of all time. I mean, yes, I'm saying this is better, but as far as when and if I ever do a top 100, I mean, this will be number one. I mean, just basically because of what it means to me, if you will. But you know, I this is usually at the point where I try to tell you, like, if you like this type of game, then this is the game you should get. If you like this sort of game, this is what you should get, kind of thing. If you like cooperative games, buy this. If you like heavily themed cooperative games, buy this. If you like Cthulhu mythos heavily themed cooperative games, this is on your shelf already. If you're a fan of Arkham Horror, Elder Sign, this genre of games, this is on your shelf already. I mean, I don't know what I can do to convince somebody that is just walking into the board game world, you know, just like, what's all this stuff? And then they see this. Other than the fact that, I mean, if you're a fan of you know, the whole Cthulhu mythos, if you're a fan of Lovecraft, this is an excellent game, because Arkham Horror is a beast. It's got rules upon rules upon rules. It's got so many expansions that you're just like, oh my gosh, what? You can get in on the ground floor with Eldritch Horror. You don't have to worry about a really difficult rule set. The fact that they give you this awesome reference guide that, you know, basically, like, you have to go online and find reference guides for Arkham Horror. There's tons of good ones out there. Universal Heads one is awesome. But this, like, makes every section of the rules, every little thing that you want to look up. It's like, oh, how does the reckoning part work? How does my encounter rule work? How does the monster surges work? You know, the investigator abilities. What is that thing? How does that work exactly? There's a FAQ in there, things like that. That's awesome. Fantasy Flight Games is always on the, like, cutting edge, the cusp of that like giving the gamer what they want mentality. Yeah, they screw up every once in a while. No company's perfect, but they did this right, and they did it excellently. I don't know. I can't stress enough why this game is awesome. You know, I said I compare it to the other ones. Comparing it to Elder Sign, it's no contest. This is a better game, just because it beats me. And Elder Sign is fun, and I still enjoy it. And it's very laid back. You never feel like you're in danger of losing. You always feel like you're just going to get it. And I mean, Elder Sign's fun because you get to roll lots of dice. I'll say that. You know, and so that's kind of cool. But as far as telling me a story, it just doesn't do it. Doesn't do it for me. You know, Mansions of Madness, you can't really compare because it isn't really a cooperative game, and plus it's like scenario driven and things like that. And once you played them, you played them. It's got great chrome, it's got a great story, but it just, you know, I don't think you can really. I've always thought trying to hammer a role playing element into a board game just really doesn't work really well. It has to flow naturally. It has to come from the people playing the game. Now, when you play Eldritch Horror, like I told that story about the way our game played, and we had that story, we had that image, you know, of my politician guy, like, well, it's time to do battle with the Windwalker again. Not so fast, boss. Blam! You know, we had that image, and we laughed and laughed and laughed about it. But we created that. You know, we filled in the blanks. There wasn't like a strict narrative that we like, oh, you read this and that's going to happen. No, we filled in the blanks. We were creative. We conjured it in our minds, and we did it as a group think. And that is, so maybe, just maybe, you need the right group to do it. And I'm blessed that I have a group of people that I play my board games with that are also my role-playing game group. And so we all kind of have that same mentality. We have that same... we kind of almost just inhabit that little hive mind, if you will. Compared to Touch of Evil, as I said before, Touch of Evil, I really love it. I like the game. I like the setting. I think it was probably what I like about Touch of Evil the most. I like the whole Headless Horseman Ichabod Crane kind of setting, and I enjoy it. And plus, Flying Frog, I mean, they go over the top as far as, like, I like way they make their things with the actors and the costumes and the actual pictures on the cards and anything like that. But that isn't really a cooperative game for me. That's a competitive race that you're all kind of trying to solve the same mystery at the same time. So it doesn't really compare, if you will. And if I'm going to compare it to the granddaddy, or should I say grandmama, because I have a love affair with this baby. It's not that it's better in some way, but it's different, and it's a more streamlined experience. There are no, I don't see this as being, when I sit down to play Arkham Horror, we'll make a date, and my friends and I was okay, we're gonna play Arkham Horror, and we're gonna specifically play with all the expansions, and we know it's a 6-hour investment. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna play, but I don't get that with this game. We all, after we got the flow of the game going down, 3 of us were able to play a game, and literally, you can lose early, obviously, but we were literally within the last couple of turns of the game being over, and we were able to play. I knew the rules. I had played it solo a couple of times, and then I had played it once with one other person, my wife, and played a 2-player game, and then I had a couple guys come over that are used to these types of games. And we went over the rules quick, and we were able to jump in, and we were able to play a game in 3 hours. And I know the next time we play it'll take 2, just because we'll understand everything and it'll go a lot quicker. Now, does that mean the investment game? I still love that, but that's an event. That's something I do. This is a game that when we're looking for something to play, I can just pull this off the shelf. I know when I'm going to play Arkham Horror. It's you have to plan that in days in advance. It's this Saturday, let's play Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror? Arkham Horror? Should we play Arkham Horror? Okay, then it's just oh god, I only got 4 hours. I can't play Arkham with you. But this is a game that you can just say, let's play Arkham Horror, and you can do it. I don't know. I'm kind of running out of glowing things to say. I mean, it is the Cthulhu mythos, and I'm not going to say it's light by any means, because like I said, it still hammered on us, it still beat the piss out of us, and we still had a blast. And so it isn't light. It's light as far as getting rid of some of the unneeded chaff as far as the rules are concerned, and light in the amount of time that it takes to play. But it is not light in gameplay. It is not light in choices, like meaningful choices. It is not light in narrative. It is not light in mechanics. It is not light in all the things that are needed, that made Arkham Horror wonderful and beautiful and a blast to play, are in this game. And I mean, it's obviously it's right now it's the December 1st, and there's been many games I've played this year, and a lot of them have been a lot of fun. And I'm not going to just say right now for sure this is my number 1 game of the year, but because I need to play it. I need to play it 2, 3, 4 more times. But if it maintains what it's done, there's no contest, because this is the most fun I've had all year long playing this game. And let's be honest, it was a game built for me and built for the type of game that I love and that I like. And so you have to factor that in, as far as my experience. But and where I'm coming from as obviously a subjective reviewer, because all reviews are subjective. Why would you want to listen to an objective review? But that's another story at all. But there you go. Eldritch Horror, just released. Fantastic cooperative game from Fantasy Flight Games. It is the new girl on the block. It is the hotness. I am having a torrid affair with Eldritch Horror behind Arkham Horror's back. Arkham Horror is probably going to come home from work early one day and find me snuggling with this game box in my bed, if you will. So, if she hasn't already. Anyway, thank you for letting me do this incredibly long, drawn-out review. For those of you who made it from beginning to end, I salute you. If it wasn't for you awesome people out there who watch my reviews and give me the positive feedback and negative feedback, for that matter, I would not do what I do. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you again, and until the next review, this was Undead Viking. This was the amazing Eldritch Horror, and you have an awesome day. Go buy this game, play it, love it, enjoy it, hug it. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.